Throughout this video, we're going to be exploring the story of Planxty, the groundbreaking Irish folk group that redefined traditional music in the 1970s and inspired generations that followed. Planxty brought a new fire and elegance to Irish music, blending ancient melodies with modern arrangements and unmatched musicianship. We'll be tracing their story from the early days, how four extraordinary musicians came together to their rise as a cultural phenomenon that shaped the future of Irish folk. Along the way, we'll look at their key albums and the roles of each member and the legacy that still echoes through Irish music today. Just before we dive in, if you'd like to support the channel and show your love for Irish music, check out the shop. We've got a load of Irish music inspired designs created by myself and my father as well, from the likes of hats and hoodies to mugs, stickers and more. And if this video reaches 100 likes, I'll put a 10% discount on everything for a full month. So as well as that, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon too so you don't miss the next videos. But without further ado, let's take a look at the story of Planxty. Before Planxty, Irish traditional music, while certainly beloved, often struggled to find a voice that resonated globally without losing its soul. It took a quiet revolution fueled by scholars, fierce innovators, and the relentless energy of a new generation of musicians. We're going back to the late 1960s and early 1970s, a time when four exceptional musicians were moving on parallel paths that would soon violently intersect, redefining the very sound of Ireland. The stage for Planxty was meticulously prepared by the second revival of Irish traditional music. By the mid-1960s, a cultural shift was underway. Inspired partly by the United States' success of groups like the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem, central to this intellectual and artistic movement was composer and arranger Sean O'Riordan, arguably the single most influential figure in the 1960s revival. O'Riordan's ensemble, Cultúr Culin, legitimized traditional music by playing lucid, sparse arrangements in concert halls. He noticeably championed the bodhrán as an ensemble instrument, pulling it from the brink of obscurity in street parades. This elevated respect for traditional instrumentation was vital. Furthermore, O'Riordan's work brought the compositions of the great blind 18th century harper Turlough O'Carolan back into the public consciousness. Within this fertile musical landscape, the four founding members owned their crafts. Christy Moore. Born in 1945, Moore began his career as a bank employee, but abandoned it during a 12-week strike in 1966. He moved to England, immersing himself in folk clubs where he encountered giants like Luke Kelly and Seamus Ennis. Moore, along with Donal Lunny, was acquainted since their school days in Newbridge, County Kildare, where Lunny taught him how to play the guitar and bodhrán. Donal Lunny, born in 1947, Lunny was already active in the Dublin scene, notably forming the successful vocal harmony group Emmet Spiceland. Lunny would become legendary for popularising the bouzouki in Irish music. He had acquired the instrument from fellow musician Andy Irvine. Andy Irvine, born in 1942, Irvine started as a child actor before dedicating himself to folk music in Dublin around 1962. He was a pivotal early figure, having co-founded the pioneering electric folk group Sweeney's Men in 1966. With Sweeney's Men bandmate Johnny Moynihan, Irvine was instrumental in adapting the Greek bouzouki for Irish music. Irvine's musical palette was uniquely broadened by extensive travels in Eastern Europe and the Balkans in the late 1960s, leading to a lasting fascination with asymmetric rhythms and Bulgarian folk music that he would integrate into the Irish sound. Liam O'Flynn, born in 1945, O'Flynn was acknowledged as Ireland's foremost exponent of the uilleann pipes. He studied under the celebrated pipers Leo Rossum, Willie Clancy and Seamus Ennis. O'Flynn carried the heavy weight of traditional mastery. The uilleann pipes are considered complex, with tradition holding that mastery requires 7 years learning, 7 years practicing, and 7 years playing. The actual birth of Planxty was almost accidental, coalescing around a recording project in a country house in Kildare. But the magic that happened in that cellar studio, the merging of O'Flynn's strict traditional piping with Irvine and Lunny's modernised strings, and Moore's powerful voice, it created an energy that Irish music had never heard before. The initial spark occurred in the summer of 1971. Christy Moore invited Irvine, Lunny and O'Flynn to serve as guest musicians on his second solo album, Prosperous, which was recorded in the cellar of his sister's home in Prosperous, County Kildare. Christy Moore later recalled this as a magical time when the music was fresh and it sparkled. Following this successful collaboration, the quartet officially joined forces in January 1972. After initially calling themselves Clad for Christy, Liam, Andy and Donal, they settled on Planxty, the name meaning a tribute to a particular person, and derived potentially from the toast sláinte, or Latin planctus, was apt, as the music of Turlough O'Carolan would feature prominently in the repertoire. Their distinctive sound immediately distinguished them. As an acoustic band, they generated a roof-raising dynamic that critics argued could match the best rock or electric folk groups.
Oh, then he rode east and he rode west. He rode north and south also, but when he rode to the wide up...
This power stemmed from the musical dialogue between Lunny and Irvine on bouzouki and mandolin, utilising intricate counterpoint melodies and varied time signatures. This innovative approach merged blissfully with O'Flynn's virtuoso piping. One observer noted that the intricacy and rhythmic complexity of the arrangements were fresh and unheard of, dusting off old material and giving it a sparkling new dancing life. Planxty's trajectory skyrocketed after their first major performance in Galway at Easter 1972. Where they opened for the Scottish folk pop artist Donovan. The response was intensely enthusiastic. Their earliest success included the singles Three Drunken Maidens, which hit number 7 in the Irish charts, and a re-recording of The Cliffs of Dooneen, which rose to number 3. They quickly released their self-titled debut album Planxty in 1973, recorded in London, featuring Andy Irvine's arrangement of the traditional piece Arthur McBride and his own composition West Coast Eclair. Their second album, The Well Below the Valley, followed quickly in 1973. However, by September 1973, Donal Lunny decided to depart, joining the newly formed The Bothy Band, another group that would define the modern traditional movement. Planxty was never a fixed entity. Every time a member left, a new, equally astonishing talent stepped in, forcing the remaining members to reinvent their sound. This meant the band constantly evolved, navigating periods defined by electric experimentation, political ballads, and deep dives back into the well of traditional tunes, setting the blueprint for collaboration that defined Irish music for decades. Lunny was initially replaced by Johnny Moynihan, who did vocals, bouzouki, fiddle and mandolin. In 1973, a key figure from Irvine's earlier band, Sweeney's Men, Moynihan contributed to their third album Cold Blow and Rainy Night in 1974. Although Lunny was briefly co-opted back into the band to assist with arrangements and playing, after Cold Blow and The Rainy Night, Christy Moore resigned, leaving in 1975. He was replaced by Paul Brady on vocals, guitar, mandolin and bouzouki. He swiftly built a reputation as one of Ireland's finest interpreters of traditional songs, known for his definitive versions of ballads like Arthur McBride, but this iteration of Planxty disbanded in 1975. The original core quartet, Moore, Lunny, Irvine and O'Flynn, reunited in September 1978 for what became known as Planxty's Second Coming. They added flutist Matt Malloy, who had previously been a member of the Bothy Band alongside Donal Lunny. Malloy is considered to be one of the most brilliant Irish musicians of all time, and he utilised a distinctive style that adapted piping techniques to the flute. This lineup recorded the album after the break in 1979. Malloy left later that year to join The Chieftains, where he remained all the way up until 2021 with the passing of Paddy Maloney. The band continued to evolve, recording The Woman I Loved So Well in 1980, incorporating several guest musicians, including concertina player Noel Hill. The ranks stabilised for a time around the core four, plus keyboardist Bill Whelan, and young Cork fiddler Noel Casey, who had won an award for Best All-Round Performer in 1972 and previously played with the RTE National Symphony Orchestra. It was this six-piece lineup that recorded the commissioned piece Time Dance, composed by Bill Whelan and Donal Lunny for the 1981 Eurovision Song Contest interval in Dublin. However, internal interests began to diverge. Christy Moore and Donal Lunny, seeking an electric rhythm section and more politically charged music, departed to form Moving Hearts in 1981. The original quartet played its last show together in August 1982. The final album of this era, Words and Music, in 1983, featured Whelan and Casey, but the subsequent lineup proved too far removed from the origins, ending the band's second run in early 1983. But the breakups of Planxty didn't really scatter its members, it multiplied them. The group acted as a crucial launchpad, seeding the next wave of traditional and fusion music in Ireland, from the high-energy fire of the Bothy Band to Paul Brady's influential solo career and perhaps most spectacularly, to the genesis of Riverdance. The legacy of Planxty is not about its ending, but about the countless new beginnings it inspired. The dissolution of Planxty simply marked the diffusion of its talent across the Irish music spectrum, establishing interconnected supergroups and influential solo careers. Donal Lunny's departure in 1973 led him to co-found the Bothy Band. This group quickly became one of the most influential traditional bands, known for its enthusiasm and musical virtuosity. It included former Planxty member Matt Malloy and future Patrick Street founder Kevin Burke. After the second breakup, Christy Moore and Donal Lunny formed Moving Hearts in 1981, which followed the model of Celtic rock bands like Horslips by combining Irish traditional music with jazz and rock and roll. Lunny went on to become a renowned producer, working with artists like U2 on their War album, Van Morrison and Kate Bush as well. Andy Irvine, after touring with Paul Brady in a successful duo post-Planxty, co-founded Patrick Street in 1985 with fiddler Kevin Burke and accordion player Jackie Daly. Irvine continued to explore multicultural sounds, notably forming the group Mosaic with Lunny. Drawing on the Bulgarian asymmetric rhythms he integrated into Planxty's sound. Liam O'Flynn dedicated himself to his solo career and collaborative classical traditional work, notably performing with composer Sean Davey on projects like The Brendan Voyage. He remained a highly sought-after session musician, recording with the likes of Enya and Mark Knopfler, among others as well. The influence of keyboardist and arranger Bill Whelan proved immense. The six-member Planxty's 1981 performance of Whelan and Lunny's piece Time Dance during the Eurovision Song Contest interval was the original conceptual genesis for what Whelan would later compose as Riverdance. Whelan developed this fusion further, notably producing the 1992 album East Wind with Andy Irvine and Davy Spillane, which focused on Eastern European tempo and style integrated into Irish music, a development directly ascribed to Irvine's influence shortly before Riverdance exploded onto the global stage in 1994, earning Whelan a Grammy Award. Finally, speculation about a reunion persisted for decades. This ultimately culminated in The Third Coming, inspired by a 2003 RTE No Disco documentary about the band. The original quartet, Christy Moore, Andy Irvine, Donal Lunny and Liam O'Flynn, reunited for rehearsal in Lisdoonvarna in October 2003, followed by a series of sold-out concerts in 2004, captured on the album Live in 2004. Their final performance took place on January 31st, 2005. Even after the final Planxty performance, the collaborative spirit endured. In 2012, three of the founding members, O'Flynn, Irvine and Lunny, created the quartet LAPD. Liam, Andy, Paddy, Donal with Paddy Glacken. Later, Irvine and Lunny would form Usher's Island in 2015. Planxty's legacy is defined by its artistic fearlessness, proving that thoughtful arrangement, technical virtuosity, and a deep respect for musical history could propel traditional music out of the pub session and onto the world stage. So that's it for today's video on Planxty, a band whose influence can still be heard in almost every corner of Irish traditional music today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe as well. It really helps the channel grow. And as well as that, don't forget to check out the shop where we've loads of Irish music themed gear there, all designed by myself and my dad. If there's a design you'd like to see as well, please let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to work on it for you. As well as that, if you're a musician with any link to Ireland, whether you're inspired by Irish music, playing trad, or just carrying the spirit of it in your own work, get in touch. My email's in the About section. Because one of my main goals, I've said this a few times, but one of my main goals with this channel is to showcase the incredible talent that comes out of the country or that's inspired by it. There's always a story to tell, and I would love to get your music and your stories noticed a bit more. Before we wrap up, a huge thank you to our channel members. Your names are on screen now. As always, you're the absolute legends who keep this train moving. If you'd like to join them, hit the join button or check out the links in the description below as well. But thanks again for watching. I hope you're all having a great day no matter where you are. Slán go fóill, cheers.